Welcome to Gators Gameday Live. Seth Varnadore here with Bud Davis for a Samford postgame show. Second half better than the first half. Would you agree, Bud?
I think generally, we still had issues, but overall, that game, we checked all the boxes I wanted to see, which is get out healthy, dominate, um, win convincingly, and give me some things to be excited about the rest of the season. And we got a win, which we haven't gotten that since October of last year. So let's celebrate that. There's going to be plenty of things to stress and have anxiety about what will Billy do and all that. But at the end of the day, the Gators won. Let's enjoy it. We don't know how many more of those we're going to get this season, and you don't get to celebrate those every day. So it was fun.
Yeah, that's where we are. Just let's enjoy the wins as they come. There are some positive things to build on, some good stuff. Some stuff that's still like these are issues that are going to creep up later. But let's go ahead and look at some of the advanced stats from our friends at Game on Paper. Bud, walk us through this. What's kind of what's kind of the most impressive thing to you on here, and what's maybe is there anything that's a little concerning?
Okay, so there's not that to me honestly, there's not that much concerning here. If you're getting 10 yards of play and holding them under 3, that's a great game every time. 10 yards of play is insane. It was nice to see the offense humming. Maybe you get some more points. We had a drive stall or two, had a fumble. That stuff isn't great, but defense created a lot of havoc. I thought we were really aggressive. Offense was really explosive. Maybe we would have liked to have seen a little bit more balance, some efficient passing game, but at the end of the day, we just dominated. We rushed really well, we passed really well. Um, yeah, I don't think there's too much more you can ask for. There's a lot of green on the Gator side, a lot of purple on the Samford side. Um, Anything for you, Seth?
Uh, red zone success rate, but that was more of a first half issue, if I remember correctly. And then just the DJ Lagway number. So I want to scroll down because he's got
Yeah,
his kind of personal EPA numbers. And I want you to try to put at one point he was at 21.01, I think, before they kind of cycled down a little bit late. But can you put this number in perspective? First of all, yards per play, 17.54, and then EPA of 19.82, 50% success rate. Can you put that in context a little bit? Like, how insane is that?
it's really high. I mean, I think especially when you consider the number of plays, like getting to 20. Some people end seasons you know in the red in EPA, and he is at 20 in a single game. Top 10 Gator passing record. Um, but I think it's not like he went out there and threw 35 passes. You know, he put up some pretty gaudy numbers. Gaudy.
Got it.
I'm a math man, not an English major.
Right.
Um, some pretty impressive numbers on just not that many attempts. But this is essentially saying DJ Lagway on his own had 3 TDs. Um, you know, and he had 3 TDs, and he was worth 3 TDs, and that's when you account for everything that went bad too with him, which is not much. I mean, that's about as impressive a first start as I think you can have. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And we'll watch some film here in a second. The one thing that is interesting in watching him play and just okay, this is a little different. The dude is not afraid to push the ball down the field.
no,
There's even one where you get looks like USF's about to come down and score in Alabama. So that's an interesting one right there.
got it
There's
up.
there's a there is a the throw that Adazio is kind of like, hey, that's not a great decision. The throw was unbelievably good. It was still a dot. It just missed. I look like Trey maybe even tripped a little bit. But let's watch some of these throws. I think the biggest takeaway is that, like, regardless of competition, some of the throws Lagway was making were just next level big time stuff. So I think to me that's really the takeaway from this game. Like I said at halftime, this was not an unbelievable Samford team. I didn't think so. Stopping their offense is not, like, oh, what a great defense. I think that's kind of an expected defense performance. But let's watch some DJ Lagway here. So even this one, like, is it ill-advised? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But look when he throws this thing. He throws it really early. Wilson's not behind him yet, but look at the spot he throws it to.
There's only one person. If anybody catches that ball, it's only going to be one person.
And I think he kind of trips here. I don't know if it's just outreach, but that is an unbelievable, like in terms of anticipation throws. And you talked last week, we were kind of joking a little bit, and I can make the screen a little bit bigger here. We were kind of joking a little bit, like, does Lagway at halftime, does Lagway hit the post against Miami last week? They were open. I mean, look how early he's throwing this thing, and that's a great spot. I mean, it looks like it even kind of gets Gator armed a little bit here. So, I mean, just an unbelievable throw. So, even that one where the announcer's kind of saying, pretty ill-advised. The anticipation on that throw was insane, and the fact that it was in a pretty good spot was also unbelievable. Let's look when he throws this thing. He lets it go now because I think he anticipates this guy playing down on the tight end. Now gets a better team that can burn you, but it's in a pretty good spot. So that's just like not, the ideal throw there, but an unbelievable throw. And then, so interesting play here. So they go tight end. So you got 4 to a side. So the tight end's 1, you got 2, 3, 4 here. 4 to a side. And then you pull the guard, right? Pull a guard. The back fits here to get some play out of the corner to the left side. The safety comes down low for the hard play action, right? When you pull a guard, you're going to get more play action from the safety. And you've got Tank Hawkins running just a deep over with his speed.
He's so fast.
And again, this is one where it's like, okay, this wasn't a perfect throw because the guy did have to slow down, but still drops it right over the defender. Great catch and a great play. So a little bit of a different wrinkle here. Crosser, post, dig. Yeah, so
it just, what a difference.
Crosser, post, dig. And so you get a nice shot play here and a really good throw. Not perfect throw, but pretty good there. And here's a little back view of it. So there's, I mean, that's the whole game is just how good was he
taking the explosives.
Yeah, and that's, I guess that's the other question, right? Is okay, because we talked at halftime a little bit about, a lot of this stuff is base concepts. Florida runs a lot, so it's not.
Yeah.
So the question then is, okay, so is it just a willingness issue, right?
Okay, so I think this is the big point. Is we saw Anthony Richardson running Billy Napier's scheme, and it was only explosives.
Yeah.
And then we saw Graham Mertz running it, and it was a lot of efficiency stuff, a lot of check downs. And now we're seeing a third QB running it, and the explosives are crushing. And, I think this is where you start to lean into, not just because DJ Lagway is the highly rated recruit or he's done all these things. He set all these records in one game against a bad FCS team. It's, we've seen a lot of Graham Mertz, and he might just not fit this offense that well. And he looked really bad against Miami.
Yeah, I thought he had his worst game since. That's what we were even talking. Like, was there something going on before that? Here you get a nice hitch and go. I think down here hitch seam, trying to get a shot over the top here on second and short. Great job navigating the pocket and letting it rip. And then this is another one where
this is crazy.
I mean, that's an unbelievable spot. And then it's good to see Mizell out there taking the top off the defense because that could be a role for him as the season progresses.
Just having guys like Hawkins run the crossers instead of, Jackson, it's so much more powerful, so much more effective.
Yeah. Now, I think we can get a little too excited because maybe a better corner, it's a tougher, but just I think the willingness and the ball placement on the receiver is good to see. And then I think do we have one more? We might have one more pretty good one here. Yeah, I think it was this, maybe the next one. A little different concept. Coming up here, I believe, next. It's the, yes, this one. So this is something they've done before. You get to go, right? We talked about, like, for the quarterback. And this is the one thing the offense does this is my favorite thing the offense does, is they give the quarterback a bunch of similar reads, but it's the same, it's different kind of looks at it. So this is a similar read to flood. We talked about they're in two different things, but it's just we're going to bring a crossing here, the flat here, but you still got deep, intermediate, shallow. So for the quarterback, same processing, same play, same look, but for their defense, it's something totally different. And then you also have some, you probably have a hitch over here. I'm guessing you have some answers if you get man coverage, right? So good job. First of all, good job moving in the pocket. And this is the one thing that I think is interesting. Yeah, I think this is kind of where I was about to go. Jeremy goes there. O-line needs improvement. Lagway's mobilities gives us a better chance. Just kind of watching how he can throw off this platform here. Like, just watch these throws. There's not a lot of pressure, but just the ability to I can just kind of go back,
flick a
kind of
wrist,
moving away from it, and still put that ball on the money, right? That's something that if your offensive line is struggling, maybe you need some more of that. Guys that can make the throw off platform, and that's what the big time guys are doing now. So I thought they gave him some stuff that was easy in terms of I can process these. So a lot of the shot plays he could process the same way each time, which I think makes it easy. And that's the best stuff about the offense when it's going well, is that they give the quarterback certain reads and he doesn't have to, we can get to it 15 different ways, but it's still the same read for the quarterback, right? That's the best parts of the offense. The bad parts are we understand all the bad parts, right?
Yeah. So, and people complain because it's like, oh, there's only 5 or 6 plays in the Napier playbook or whatever. But I mean, you can't have your QB completely overwhelmed, but you want to have a lot of diversity in what defensives had to prepare for, and we do pretty good at that.
Yeah, I think at times there's situational things where they go to some crutches, which they've got to get. It's got to get better, and I don't know at this point if it will, because it's, you keep kind of thinking, and I give passes because it's okay. First year quarterback, okay. Second, all right. First year quarterback again. All right, where's the expansion on it? And we saw against Miami. Now it's game 1, but a lot of the concepts, like the third down crutches, were a lot of the same stuff. So, and good teams are going to be pretty prepared for that. Now they did have some things that they changed off of it, but that was last week. This week, I thought they did a good job giving him, a variety of the same read. Jeremy, I would think so. Especially early, we talked about it at halftime. I think maybe that's why you saw the Wildcat early. Like, no reason to run him, but because when he came in against Miami, he ran like some gap read stuff, which was probably part of his package in that game. But this week they probably took that out just because no unnecessary hits. But if he's going to be playing going forward, and I think that's where we need to go next, is what do you do going forward, right? Because I think the joke kind of before the game was that, we could have a quarterback controversy, but I mean, the dude played really well and did some high level stuff. Obviously, the opponent was not great, but do you just bet on the ceiling? And if he meets the ceiling in a couple games, maybe you pull off some upsets and you could do a little bit more, where maybe the floor is a little bit lower. But, with the way Mertz played in game one, I thought his floor would be a lot higher than we saw against Miami. So I guess that's the other side of it, right?
I agree. Like from only what we've seen this season, I think the clear answer is you play DJ Lagway. I think you're kind of hoping Miami, if you want to play Mertz, you're hoping the Miami game was an anomaly for Mertz at UF, and that he generally plays above that. And he's a second-year QB. We usually see these second-year QBs, transfer QBs, take big steps forward. So you're kind of hoping we should see that, especially with this, improved wide receiver core. So I'm expecting Mertz to play. I think he's got a lot of familiarity with the system, but I think his leash has got to be short, gone. If he struggles again at all like he did against Miami, it needs to be DJ Lagway time.
Yeah, it's a tough question, right? Because obviously, you're going to be playing a pretty good defensive line next week. So, I think the Dan Mullins last year throwing Richardson out against Georgia, do you view it that way, or is it just like, hey, no, he's started, he's played, the talent, the ceiling is so high, you've got to get him on the field, which I think is not an unfair way to look at it. Obviously,
I,
it sucks for Mertz, but that it's I would imagine he's got to play some, because he does some things that are just like those throws are next level throws, and I don't know if we've seen Mertz make some of those throws.
no, I
So
mean
do
the
you just
the
bet on? Do you just if you're I guess the other part of it is, and I think a big part of being a college head coach, which I think a lot of coaches that get fired don't understand, is that optics and messaging are super important to your fan base and to your team. So, I mean, Mertz was, last week Mertz was before the game, he was a leader, but Lagway, I thought looked like he did a really good job stepping up as a leader before the game on the sideline. What does it look like to your team? I guess, and maybe that's why you have those leadership councils and things like that to help you make those kinds of decisions. But optically to the fan base, I think it's going to look rough going back, because I think a lot of people, I think the initial take from the game is, hey, just let the young guy roll, take his lumps. That's your
I
best
think
chance if you're Napier to retain your job, right?
I think so. Um, you and me, I think we're on the same page. We would play Lagway. Like
Yeah, I think
it,
if I'm in Billy's position, yeah,
and I want to see that. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's
I
Billy
would be
Napier's.
surprised as well.
I don't think it's Billy Napier's style. Um, so then I think once I am like, okay, that's not going to happen. I kind of want to understand the thinking a little bit more for like, what's the rationale for playing Mertz? And I think a lot of it is like he has a lot of transfers. He has a lot of freshmen out there, and he needs somebody who really knows the system. And I think Mertz gives him that a little bit better. So, but yeah, I think Lagway's ceiling, we saw it. I mean, first game as a freshman, he's top 10 single game for Florida.
Yeah, and one of them was a tap pass, but Mertz got credit for a lot of tap passes last year too, right? So that's just part of the gig. But yeah, I mean, the dude pushed it down the field and was pretty accurate. Now, do you think it's at a point where he's got to play a little bit no matter what?
I think so. I think he needs to have, you know, 10, 15 snaps. I mean, significant roles. And, hopefully they prepare something to take advantage of his unique skills. So we'll see though.
It is a conundrum. I think I think he's got to play some if you're gonna from this point, because he played so well. He did a good job leading the team. You don't want to just be like, all right, good job, Mertz is back. I think he kind of earned the chance to play a little bit. So we'll see what he does going forward. But you could start running into, I think, a real like Emery AR type situation where if it gets to the point where every time he comes in, he plays really well.
Yep.
It's going to be deafening. And we saw kind of how that really optically turned the fans on Mullen. And I think the fans don't need a lot of motivation to turn anymore on the current staff. So
yeah, not at all. But I could also, if Mertz goes out there and he's playing really well against Texas A&M in a tight game, I'm fine leaving him in there.
yeah.
You don't pull the guys when they're doing well, but
so do you treat it like other positions where they're seemingly rotating a ton and having tight leashes on guys? Is that
I think
the play, you think?
you do a tight leash, and as soon as it looks like somebody doesn't have it, pull them. Kind of like how it's like a pitcher almost.
Yeah. And it's tough. They've got themselves in kind of a tough, tricky situation here. But the dude has got, he's got it seems like. So he's got a freaking hose. He was letting those deep balls go. So he's a special talent. You'd have to imagine he's got to play some. So
I hope so.
He played well enough tonight that he's putting Napier in a tough spot, I think. So
agreed.
We'll see what happens.
Bama's icing this.
Yeah, the dam is broken on that game. So the flood's coming. The floodwaters are coming in now. The tide, if you will, it's just coming in, unfortunately. But all right. Anything else? We'll be back kind of later in the week to talk Texas A&M a little bit more. But for now, we haven't really watched much. Just
that's my cat. I think we got some all 22 for the Aggies, and then
there we go.
We'll I think just enjoy the win. Don't make yourself miserable thinking about the QB controversy. Have fun, enjoy it. That was awesome.
Yeah, enjoy the Lagway. Go watch Lagway highlights on loop the rest of the week. That'll make you feel better. So we'll see what Napier has to say in his press conference post game, and I'm sure he'll get asked about it next week. But it should be an interesting decision at quarterback when it really didn't seem like there would be much of a controversy this year. But I don't know. You come out and throw for 456.
Yeah.
So like 75% passing. These things tend to happen. So
can't stir the pot much more than that. So
all right, well, we'll be back next week to look at Texas A&M, but for now, enjoy the victory.
All right, see you, Seth.
All right, see you.